Hi, I'm Christina, and this is a book review of Camp Zero by Michelle Min Sterling. So, this is her debut novel. It was published in 2023 and it's a science fiction dystopian novel. The year is 2049 and the main theme is climate change. We are watching as these people are struggling to live in a world where certain areas are far too hot to live in and the extreme weather conditions are making certain places completely unlivable. So we are seeing from three different perspectives in this story. The first perspective is a woman called Rose. She is a sex worker and she's living in a place called the Floating City. This place is for the wealthy and for the powerful, and you can still get all of the luxuries you could possibly want living in this place. And obviously the people who also work there are very lucky in a sense because they get to live in such a beautiful place that is still safe from, the effects of climate change. And she is going to Camp Zero and she is going to be a sex worker there, but she's also got a secret mission that she has to keep an eye on the man in charge. And that's basically what she is doing in this story. So the second perspective is a man called Grant, and he is from an incredibly wealthy family, and he kind of just wants a complete fresh start in this world. He wants to leave his family behind, leave his surname behind, just leave everything behind, and he is going to Camp Zero because it's the place that is furthest away, it's completely off-grid, and he just wants to be somewhere new, where nobody knows him, where he can just completely start again. So Camp Zero itself is set in some part of Canada. I don't think we're actually told. And obviously certain parts of Canada are very desirable to live in because it's so much colder that it is actually, a place where you can still survive in. And lots of Americans are now buying up land in Canada because it's so much safer to live in Canada, essentially. And then the third perspective is actually, I think, the most interesting perspective, and it is a collective. So it's kind of an unnamed narrator of a collection of people. These people live in a climate research station, and they are just a group of women, and we actually don't always know the names of the women, we're just told by their profession. So we have the cartographer, the geographer, the botanist, the biologist, etc. And we also have a woman named Sal, and she is a military woman. So the whole station is run by these women. They're all, excellent in their professions, and they're living here just monitoring the climate, and that's their kind of mission. So they're the three main perspectives that we follow. And yeah, I'm not going to tell you any more about the plot, actually. I think that's all I'm going to say. So I thought this one was pretty good overall. I've given it 3 stars. I think for me, this is just kind of a middling book. It's kind of a middle of the road book. There isn't anything here that I really, really disliked, and there isn't anything in here that I really thought was absolutely wonderful. So yeah, it's just a kind of solid 3-star read. I had a good enough time with it. I don't think it's going to be particularly memorable, if I'm honest. It's just a decent kind of book. I don't think I would rush out and get this one. In terms of its world building, there's definitely some interesting aspects. So I really like the theme of looking at climate change. Obviously, if it's set in 2049, it's kind of in the not too distant future. And it's interesting that we're looking at something that's incredibly important in our society today, and it's obviously incredibly important in this, just looking at how climate change will affect us all, and again looking at how climate change will affect people in terms of the poor and the rich, and kind of looking at the divide between the two. I think that was explored really well. And another thing that was interesting, so in this world there is something called the flick. And it is kind of behind your ear, and everybody at birth is kind of installed with one of these, and it lets you just access the internet essentially. So the internet is kind of inside us, and you can kind of watch your feed in front of your eyes. And I thought that was excellent commentary kind of on, the use of social media and the use of mobile phones and the internet. I thought that was very interesting where we were going with that, and kind of the ideas that people who are heavy users of their flick kind of don't really have as sharper memories, or forgetting certain things because they're kind of just so inundated with information on their feeds constantly, that they kind of don't remember things in the same way, and they don't have the same kind of nostalgia for things. And I thought that was very interesting, and I think with the character of Rose, she wasn't born with a flick, because I don't think, you know, the technology had actually happened just yet. I think she was in her childhood years when she was installed with it. So it was interesting to have that kind of, I don't know, that little bit of something in the world building. I thought it was interesting. And the other interesting thing in terms of like the floating city, a place that is like climate controlled, and it's obviously only for the very wealthy, for the powerful, and you can still get all the amazing luxuries, so the fancy coffee and the beautiful truffles and the beautiful champagne, and basically a lot of the world is struggling, and people are struggling to survive and to feed themselves on basic foods, and they just have the best of everything at their fingertips. And I thought that was interesting too. In terms of the actual plot, it is very, very slow paced. And it definitely takes a while for certain things to actually happen. And I think that definitely kind of affected my enjoyment of it. Another thing I would say that did affect my enjoyment of it is the kind of ending is very just, it's kind of left open. It kind of feels like there's definitely room for a sequel here. There's lots of things that we could move forward in a sequel, but I do believe it's a standalone for now. And I think that was just a little bit disappointing. I wanted a bit more closure, just a little bit more from the ending. Personally, it was just kind of it was a lackluster ending for me. I wanted a little bit more. In terms of the characters, I thought the characters, they were okay, they were fine. I wasn't particularly connected to any of the characters. There's no one in here that kind of screams out of me like, I love that character. Again, no one was like truly awful, but yeah, just the characters are kind of middling. I think that's the word kind of for this story, is that I thought it was a good enough read. It was a 3-star read, solid book. I like some of the themes of the climate change, but ultimately it hasn't wowed me. It doesn't feel, it's not excellent, you know. It was good. It was fine. And that was probably about it for me. I definitely would be interested to see whatever she writes next. Obviously, this is her debut novel. I definitely think she has some really interesting thoughts in here. I'm just not sure if all of them were kind of fully realised. I think there wasn't all that much character development. Most of the people are basically the same all the way through. There was some interesting kind of twists and turns later on. There was obviously, I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to give any spoilers, but there were certain things that happened that, you know, were interesting, and I thought, oh yeah, that's an interesting twist. When I was looking at the different perspectives of people, I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming actually. I didn't think that's what happened. So I thought, yeah, that was good. Kind of, yeah, it worked well. But yeah, overall, I don't think this is going to be particularly memorable for me. I think it's just going to be, you know, a good book that I picked up, and I had fun with it. I enjoyed my time with it. I think that's about it really. If you have read this book, I would love to know your thoughts on it down in the comments below. I haven't really talked to anyone about this book yet because I think it's only just recently come out in this last month or so. So yeah, it is a very new book. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please do like the video if you liked it, and please do subscribe if you'd like to hear more of me talking about books. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.